Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. We're going to be doing the recap and reaction for UFC Brazil, Oliveira versus Gamrot. We're just going to be doing the main card because I think that will make for a higher quality video. So, let's start off with Ricardo Ramos versus Kaan Ofli. Man, I picked Ricardo Ramos, and I wonder what would have happened in this fight had there not been such aggressive cage grabbing from Kaan Ofli. But you know, it's okay. I'm not going to get too bitter about it. It was just kind of strange that he really clasped onto that cage to move himself around onto the back of Ricardo Ramos. I don't know how I feel about that, but I don't know. It all happened so quickly, and it was the first fight on the main card. The frustration was mild, let's just say that. And yeah, yet another fighting nerd to lose in a very disappointing way overall, even though it was kind of a cheating loss. Still not a good look, especially from the guy that was the underdog, you know? Kind of a worse look when you're the favorite, I guess. Anyhow, let's move on to the next one. Jhonata Diniz versus Mario Pinto. Interesting. Jhonata Diniz looked really slow in this fight, I will say. And a bit old. I don't know how old he is, but Mario Pinto took him down in the first round. And I don't even know. I was trying to figure out what was happening there. And it felt like his arm did a whole 360 around his body somehow while being attached. I'm not sure how Jhonata Diniz survived that situation, but then he ended up eating a bunch of elbows from Mario Pinto. And then in the second round, Jhonata Diniz got taken down again, ended up eating so many elbows to the face, and eventually getting absolutely destroyed against the cage. It was actually one of the more brutal KOs because Mario Pinto was just on top of him, fully mounted, going like I can't recreate it, but just really going at his head, and his head started looking like it was shrinking almost. Rough time for Jhonata Diniz tonight. I did pick Mario Pinto to win. For some reason, I feel like I was expecting a standing single KO. But yeah, epic performance from Mario Pinto, I would say, considering he's pretty new here. So let's move on to the next one. Vicente Luque versus Joel Alvarez. So in the first round, I wouldn't say there was too much of anything eventful going on. The only thing that was strange was when Vicente Luque ate a hook to the face, kind of backtracked, crawled into the fetal position. We all thought it was an eye poke, which would have been, I guess, understandable. And then they did the replay, and it was absolutely not an eye poke. I guess he just kind of got scratched with Joel Alvarez's thumb on the side, but that's, I don't know. I just feel like that's kind of to be expected sometimes. But yeah, I did think it was weird that he kind of crumbled not immediately, because obviously had he crumbled immediately, it would have been a different situation. Yeah, that was just weird overall. But Joel Alvarez was super pissed with this whole situation in round one because he punished Vicente Luque in the second round on the ground. It was just a full round of punishment. A full round of punishment. If I was Vicente Luque, I would have just been like, dang, I wish that ended in the first. So I wouldn't have had to endure that horror. And in the third round, I just remember Joel Alvarez sitting on top of Vicente Luque on his neck, just really squeezing that thing tight with his thighs, kind of. I don't know. It was a weird little pretzel position. But yeah, Vicente Luque lost really badly. I think they scored it at 30-26. Which I don't see often, honestly. I think that was like the first time I saw that in a while. Yeah, let's move on to the next one, guys. Deiveson Figueiredo versus Montel Jackson. This fight is going to haunt me in my dreams tonight. I'm sure. Because I picked Montel Jackson because I listened to logic. Which sometimes works But in this case, I remember doing the research for this video and initially being like, oh yeah, I think Figgy's got this. And then I remembered that, you know, he had that knee injury and it was only 4 months ago and it just didn't seem right. And I also didn't like his performance in his last fight. But the thing is, I also realized when doing my research that Montel Jackson is a cowardly fighter. He just is. You can see this. You can observe it. He's not even really hiding it. He's just very cowardly. And I just didn't expect him not to do anything for 3 rounds straight, right? But at the same time, I kind of did. It's, you know, you see someone who's cowardly and you assume, okay, well, maybe they're just a little bit cowardly. Not 100%. But no, Montel Jackson is like, he's pretty cowardly, I will say. We were all waiting for him to do something, and he just did not deliver. He refused. And yeah, Deiveson Figueiredo also didn't do too much, but he did a little more than Montel Jackson, so he won the fight by split decision. Like, really. This guy who took a fight with an injury we were all aware of beat the guy that just chose not to do anything. Anything at all. Anything at all. He could have stepped on the gas 2% more and he would have won. But he chose not to. I don't think I'll ever pick Montel Jackson for anything again. Not that I was even so confident about that pick to begin with, but it just really made me upset that I didn't pick Figgy because I was going to. I like David Figueiredo. As a fighter, I think he's cool and much cooler than Montel Jackson. So he got the cool. It was in Brazil, won the fight by split decision. So anyways, let's move on to the next one, the last one. Charles Oliveira versus Mateusz Gamrot. Somehow, a few minutes before the fight, I just had this feeling. I've had these feelings before where I just felt like, yeah, Charles is gonna win. Like, he's gonna win. I just don't see Gamrot winning. And not even just because he took the fight on short notice, but there was this seemingly clear energy to me that he was not on the level that Charles is at. First of all, Charles changed his name to Predator for this fight, before this fight. And sometimes I just feel like when someone tells you something so blatantly, maybe you could listen to them because they are literally showing you what they're going to do. Gamrot just looked levels below Charles Oliveira. There are moments where, of course, he was on top and Charles Oliveira just did his Charles Oliveira thing where he just flipped that shit around real quick. And I don't mean just like reverse positions, but somehow it's just Charles Oliveira is just so good off the back. He's just so good off the back, he'll make you regret ever taking him down. And there was a moment in round 2 when Charles had Gamrot in the body triangle, and I realized this is the ultimate big brother moment. And Oliveira looked so calm from that, just so calm, like, shh, it's okay, bro, it's okay. I'll take care of it. I mean, hey, props to, this is the thing about the Polish people too, is I really respect their energy and the fact that they will just be there and fearlessly take on these fights. I respect that, but at the same time, there's a clear gap in skill and ability, training, experience. I feel like Gamrot's style could work in a lot of cases, but the ceiling is a really technical fighter like Oliveira who really knows what he's doing and isn't just relying on chance for a lot of his game plan, which is what I feel like Gamrot does a lot, is he relies on chance. And I feel like that's a really exhilarating way to fight and, you know, probably makes him feel the best. And by the best, I mean like most alive. But at the same time, I feel like you should probably balance that with more effectiveness. Better defense or more effective striking. Like the striking, I'm sorry. I feel like the striking needs some work, Gamrot, you know? I feel like the striking needs some work. To the people that were saying that they thought Gamrot would get a KO in the first or second, why? How did you come to this conclusion? I want to know how it's possible to come to such a conclusion. But, yeah, Charles Oliveira just schooled Gamrot very cleanly. Solid win. Oliveira looked great. Again, I understand short notice fight, but it was way less close than a lot of people thought. So, yeah. That's all I actually have for this recap. Thank you to everybody who made it this far. I appreciate you guys. Also, yes, I apologize for only doing half of the card. I am extremely exhausted. I don't know if I would say tired. Maybe I'm both. Unusually exhausted, for real. But I think the main card was basically where all the fun was anyways. So don't mind that. Anyhow, I'll see you guys on the next one. Let me know what your thoughts were in the comments below. If you like this video or you like the content I make, don't forget to like and subscribe. And that is all. See you on the next one. Bye.